Should I say we're back again?
Yeah.
That was weird.
And we're back.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine. I'm the Communications Associate with the ACLU of Nebraska, and I'm here with Adam Sipple, our Legal Director, and today we will be talking about arrests. So one main question I have is, what makes an arrest reasonable? Like, what criteria would that include?
Well, an officer has to have probable cause to make an arrest. If it's for a misdemeanor, the misdemeanor has to be committed in the officer's presence. If it's for a felony offense, it doesn't have to be committed in the presence of the officer. But the officer has to have reasonable grounds to believe you are guilty. And those grounds must be particular to the person they are arresting. And so you can't go into a group of people where you think somebody might be guilty and just pick one. The grounds that you have as an officer to believe that a person is guilty must be specific to that individual. When a person is arrested, it's a very significant and traumatic event. If you think about it, a person is deprived completely of their freedom. And there's danger. We know from recent events that in today's world, if you make the wrong move while being arrested, you're in grave danger of not only physical injury, but possibly death. So in addition to those two things, you're then placed in the back of a patrol car, usually handcuffed. Often there's physical discomfort associated with that. The complete deprivation of freedom continues. And then, of course, you're marked. You have an arrest record. You're going to be treated different by prosecutors and judges and neighbors and family from then on out because you have an arrest record. So it's a terribly significant event. And when that is visited upon you by a police officer that doesn't have grounds for an arrest, by a police officer that doesn't have probable cause, it's extremely traumatizing. Those are people who, are sworn to protect you and that you are raised to believe will protect you. And now they're visiting that extent of a deprivation of freedom upon you in the absence of legitimate cause to do so. So it's a great question.
So what is the most egregious example of an unreasonable arrest that you have litigated for or have worked with?
I represented a Latina woman in western Nebraska who was arrested. The officers had applied for and received a warrant from a judge for the arrest. The problem was that the woman was working on the day of these controlled substance transactions at a meatpacking plant. She was a mother, she was a wife, she had lived in that town her whole life. Had committed no crimes, had no criminal history. 2 years after the controlled substance transactions at issue, she had become a para at a school and was there at the school with her students and with the school administrators, providing that service when the police came and arrested her at the school in front of everybody. Completely innocent. How did they do that? Well, they misled the judge about the information they had that supported the arrest. And so they knew from their informant that I won't say the first name, but they knew the first name of the person who reportedly sold the drugs during this controlled substance transaction. And then they just looked in the DMV database for a Latina woman with that first name and went and arrested our client. And then they lied about it repeatedly during a deposition. And so it was just really a gross abuse of power, just really, really remarkable.
So we can't talk about arrests without talking about racial disparities. In your legal career prior to the ACLU and at the ACLU, what's your opinion on what that data looks like?
I don't believe that there's any doubt that there's a great disparity, and it's been my experience that there's a great disparity between arrests of people of color and arrests of white people, and that people of color are more frequently arrested than white people under the same or similar circumstances.
Can you offer any insight into ways that we could potentially reduce the gaps and disparities between arrests of white Nebraskans and black Nebraskans?
I think we need more transparency and accountability. We need more transparency with respect to the disciplinary records of certain officers. We need a more open and honest internal affairs reporting system to hold officers accountable. We need more publicly available information regarding officers who make bad arrests, and we need more accountability. We need the courts to provide more access to people who have been victimized by police to the courts, provide them a more viable cause of action, and facilitate perhaps representation for those folks like the ACLU does. We currently have 4 cases that involve arrests and the use of force against people of color, all of whom called the ACLU for help, and we're honored and pleased to be able to help them. We think we have strong cases. We're looking forward to see how they proceed through the courts.
So do you have any thoughts on how we can reduce unreasonable arrests from the law enforcement side?
Yeah, one of the problems I believe that we have is that there are so many criminal offenses on the books, and so many of them are written in such broad language that an officer can easily claim that he had reasonable grounds for an arrest. So it's basically just a green light to abuse people of color or other people who a police officer may decide need to suffer an arrest. The other circumstance in which unreasonable arrests often occur these days is that so many people are on supervision, either in the form of pretrial diversion or probation or other criminal sentences. And it's just widely known that prosecutors and police like to snare those people on the back end. So they put them under supervision and then they arrest them for something minor or trivial so that they can revoke their probation or their diversion and send them to jail.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please like and subscribe for more content. And if you have any ideas for topics that you think we should cover, go ahead and leave a comment.